Emma Stutzman plied her hoe between 2 rows of peas in her large garden patch. The black soil warmed her bare feet as she chopped at the small weeds poking their way into the May sunlight. "I haste rebel grunt. I hate this river-bottom soil," she mumbled to herself in Pennsylvania German as she pushed back a strand of brown hair from her forehead. "It must have been too wet when we plowed it." She whacked at a large clod with her hoe. "The ground back home isn't hard like this." The Stutzman's dwelling lay not far from the English River that ran through Kelowna, Iowa. The rich gumbo soil on the floodplain was easy enough to till when there was adequate rain, but when it was dry, hoeing could be like whacking at a rubber tractor tire. In contrast, the soil in Emma's native Kansas was sandy and light. Emma straightened up to survey her vegetables. She couldn't really complain about the way things were growing. The corn was pushing up shoots to join company with long rows of carrots, beans, and potatoes. "It's time to get these tomatoes staked," she said aloud to herself. She made her way to the storage shed and found a dozen collapsible tomato racks that her husband Tob had fabricated in his metal shop. She unfolded them and pushed the 4-cornered wire supports into the soil around the foot-high tomato plants. "And I must dust these potatoes," Emma lamented as she looked at the leafy vegetation. "Those potato bugs will soon take over." "If it weren't for this garden," Emma mused, "I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to put food on the table. We just don't have the cash. But I must buy potatoes. There are none left in the cellar. It'll be more than a month before these are ready to dig." She took a break from hoeing to harvest several handfuls of radishes and onions. Then she cut off 2 heads of lettuce and put them in her dishpan with the other cuttings. These would make the salad for Sunday dinner. Not since the Depression years could Emma remember thinking so much about money. It was a constant worry. Emma's 7 siblings seemed to be doing well. 3 years earlier, in 1953, each of them had received an inheritance, a choice of 40 acres of land or the same value in cash. But to keep Tob from getting his desperate hands on Emma's inheritance, Emma's father deeded it to her younger brother Raymond Nisley. Raymond lived on the home farm next to Emma's promised 40 acres in Kansas, so he agreed to farm Emma's promised acreage in return for a share of the crop. Emma hoped that she and Tob would be able to pass on an inheritance to their children, but at the rate things were going now, they would only pass on a debt.